Greetings, my brothers and sisters. I want to thank you for taking the time out to listen to these words that I will say unto you. First, I want to give honor to God and his Son that came in flesh form to rescue mankind from himself and from sin. As Brother Malcolm has stated, I'm not here to talk about my religious beliefs, for if we do, then the river that divides us will only get larger and deeper. So I'm asking you to leave your religion at home and let's focus our attention at the issues at hand. America has a problem that transcends the 244 years of slavery, where blacks are foolishly celebrating Juneteenth. I'm not sure why they are doing so when we are still not free, and we are being executed in living color. This is one of the fallacies that cripples blacks in thinking that we are free when we are not. Just because you do not see the chains around you or you do not hear them rattling doesn't mean that they don't exist, when in fact they do. It is a fallacy in thought to think that because we've had a black president for 8 years that we have indeed made it to the top of the mountain. But sadly, we're still in the valley below. Obama's rise is deeply rooted in stratification. What does that mean? Let me explain. Racial and ethnic stratification refers to systems of inequality in which some fixed groups' membership, such as race, religion, or national origin, is a major criterion for ranking social positions and their differential rewards. Race is solely defined on the basis of a presumed common genetic heritage resulting in distinguishing physical characteristics. The differentiation of a given population that is superimposed on racial groups in a hierarchy. Its basis and very essence consists in an unequal distribution of rights and privileges among the members of a society. A racial hierarchy is a system of stratification that focuses on the belief that some racial groups are either superior or inferior to other racial groups. The groups perceived to have the most power and authority are at the top of the racial hierarchy, while the groups perceived to be inferior are at the bottom. Racial socialization is the primary vehicle of cultural transmission for African American families steeped in a tradition of resistance to oppression and embedded in conversations and actions that communicate to our children how to survive with dignity and pride in a racist world. So allowing Barack Obama to be president of the United States was nothing but a ploy to quell the unrest that continues to plague Black America. It was designed to pacify and to make blacks think that they have made it and that the playing field is leveled when it is not. In actuality, electing Barack Obama to the highest office in America only allowed the division of equality to stretch even further. The moral fiber continues to unravel as the blanket of inequality is the only thing that is covering Black America today. Do you think that it is a coincidence that after Barack Obama served his 8 years, that systemic racism has become more blatant and overt? They are literally killing Black Americans and still with video cannot get any convictions for officers killing unarmed Black citizens. George Floyd, Trayvon Martin, Aiyana Stanley Jones, 7 years old, executed in her home by SWAT team, and a jury refused to convict the officer that killed her. What about Jacob Blake, who was paralyzed from the waist down, that was shot 7 times in front of his 3 sons? Where is the justice? There is none. So what I'm about to say will probably ruffle some feathers. But in order to make an omelet, you must crack some eggs. To a certain degree, I believe that marching and protesting has its place. It worked for Martin Luther King Jr., Nelson Mandela, and Gandhi just to name a few. I believe that it was the best weapon for the time that it was used in and for. Today, I'm not confident that marching and protesting is the best solution for the times that we are currently living in. Forgive me for a second as I digress just a little. How many times have your parents told you something over and over again, but it was not until they slapped you or beat you that you finally got the message? Isn't that the case here? Our cries have fallen on deaf ears, so it is time that we slap the face of America. How do we do that? I'm glad you asked. If we are to continue marching and protesting, then we also need to have our weapons fully loaded by our sides. Since we are citizens of the United States, then we should exercise our right to bear arms. We should police our own communities and not leave that responsibility to white America. If you haven't noticed, Jim Crow and the KKK have traded in their white sheets for blue uniforms under the doctrine to kill and enslave. We need to meet force with force. I know this ideology might scare some of you, but I firmly believe that an eye for an eye is justified and warranted. Yes, some people will argue that leaves everyone blind, but I say we are not seeing the real issue here, which is extermination and extinction. We have nothing to lose and everything to gain. By any means necessary, we must take the fight to our oppressors and let them know we will not stand for the injustice any longer, and that we are prepared to die for this equality and justice. We understand that there are casualties in every war, and this is no different. We have been in this war since 1863 as the bodies keep piling up. We must engage the enemy with the same vigor and disdain that they have been and continue to show us. If looting gets their attention, then burn everything to the ground. I believe that violence has its place, especially in the midst of tyranny and systematic racism. I also believe that the ballot box is another way to balance things out, but considering how things have turned out, I'm not sure about that as a formidable weapon any longer. We've seen the Russian scandal, the Bush scandal with the votes in Florida. So as you can see, I am not confident that this system is working as it was designed to. Still, there are issues with the electoral college process that still has not been fixed. So we can still cast our votes and also tote our weapons as we need to engage our oppressor, sending out a message that we are no longer going to stand or tolerate racism in any form, anywhere, without a fight, without our guns first, or with our guns drawn as a last resort. What I'm saying is be vigilant and be prepared to fight this until the bitter end, even if that means death. So in closing, I will say this. It was 430 years that the Israelites were in bondage. It took 244 years for slavery to be abolished. 8 minutes and 46 seconds for George Floyd to die, and 7 bullets in the back for Jacob Blake and Michael Scott, who also was shot in the back. We don't have a lot of time, and unfortunately, change is a slow process. We must use all of the tools at our disposal in order to win this war. It may take a combination of both peaceful and non-peaceful efforts in order for change to come. We don't have another 430 years. We don't have 244 years, and we don't have 8 minutes and 46 seconds to spare. What we have is here and now. Ballots and bullets go hand in hand for the times we are living in. I will travel the nonviolent way first, and I will use violence as a last resort. They have declared war on Black America. It is time we do the same to the white moderates that are controlling America. I have more faith in bullets than I do the ballot box. Thank you for listening. God bless.